Hey guys, and the last step is going to be coding our win screen. So to do this, we're going to go ahead and click on our yellow events tab, and we're going to use when green flag is clicked. We want to go into looks and hide it, since we don't want it to show until we actually win our game. The next thing that we're going to go ahead and do is, underneath this, we're actually going to go into control, and we're going to add a forever. We're going to add an if then to check something. So we're going to check to see when our score is equaled to 55, which are how many blocks are there. I noticed that a couple of you guys have been able to hit higher scores, so if you want to specifically put a higher score that the player has to reach, you can go ahead and do that here. But inside of this, then we're going to go ahead and go into the yellow events tab, and we're going to broadcast a new message called win. And we're going to click OK. So now, when I receive win, what do we want to do? So we can actually do a bit of a reverse. So what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to go into looks, and underneath the hide, we're actually going to put a clear graphic effects really quickly. And for the win, we're going to set our ghost effect. This time we're going to do the opposite to 100. And then we're going to go into our control. We're going to add a repeat at 20. Next, we're going to add a wait 0.05 seconds. And above this wait, we're going to go back into looks, and we're going to now change our ghost effect by 5. -5, because we actually wanted to go down. And then at the very bottom, we're going to add a show. And we also want to make sure this all the way at the top, so we're going to add a go to front and a go forward. I'm going to change this to 50 for right now. So for our intro screen in the beginning, it's actually going to slowly disappear, but for our win screen, it's going to slowly reappear. So that's another thing that you guys can kind of think about. So initially when we did our code for everything, we had it so that it can slowly disappear or slowly do what we wanted at first. But you can also reverse that effect as well, and you can play around with that to kind of figure out what you would want. So just like we did for our intro screen, we could also duplicate this. Oops. So I'm going to duplicate it, and we can also go ahead and change this as well. So maybe I want to use pixelate. So for pixelate, what the reversed version is going to be, because again, we're not starting with it being completely like our artwork and then it'll slowly pixelate. What it'll actually do is it'll start very pixelated, and then it'll slowly show what our actual artwork is. So you guys can go ahead and play around with all these effects. I'm not going to share them because I want to keep them a surprise for you guys. Try to test out all the different reversed versions of all of the effects. Pick your favorite 2 that you want to use in order to show your win screen. And then once you're done picking that out, the last thing that we want to go ahead and do is at the very bottom of one of these, it doesn't matter which one you pick, we're actually going to add a stop all. Because what happens is, for the specific code that we have, once it reaches a certain score, it'll then repeat the game. But since we have a win screen, we want to make sure that it doesn't play anymore. But we also want to make sure that our win screen shows up. So we're adding the stop all here so that once it's done showing our win screen, and then it will stop. And then the only way for the player to play the game again is by clicking on the green flag. So with this will be done for our week 2 deep dive. Stay tuned for week 3, where we're going to continue adding the last finishing touches for our game.